who is a naysayer. And as always, naysayers go to the head of the line on this program. RJ, what do you and I disagree about that makes you a naysayer?
Yeah, basically anything pertaining to Iran. But I want to make sure I'm understanding the situation correctly. Okay. Before we went to war or attacked Iran, who were our negotiators with Iran? Do you know?
There were some negotiators who, and Trump was, I would call him the primary negotiator, because unlike other presidents where the old system used to be a president would have a Secretary of State, would have a State Department. The State Department is 30,000 people. And they would say, well, before we talk to this foreign leader, we will have our team of low-level people go in and talk to their team of low-level people, and we'll figure out what the conversation is going to be about. And there'd be a long, complicated process that would ultimately, in some cases, lead to the leaders actually talking to each other after most of the decision-making had already been done. And I think that's a foolish way to go about it. Trump goes about it a different way. He communicates to Iran. He says, you need to stop building nuclear weapons. You're very close to actually putting your hands on them. The world cannot afford for you to have those weapons. So agree to, hold on. You asked a question. I'm answering it. And he communicated that very clearly. And the Iranians, through their chain of communication, said, no, we're not going to do that. So, boom, you're done.
Well, if you're leaving Jared Kushner and Witkoff out because they were the two main negotiators, okay?
Well, if you already knew the answer, then why did you ask the question?
Well, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. I also want to make sure I understand Iran and Saudi Arabia are not on the best of terms, right?
Correct.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Hold on. RJ, can I ask you a favor? You told the producer you're a naysayer. What do we disagree about that makes you a naysayer?
Witkoff and Kushner are both in bed with the Saudis in business for billions of dollars. Is there a conflict of interest when they go and negotiate?
Probably. But ultimately, if the decision is made by Trump, and I've seen other presidents hold on.
Right.
I'm going to answer your question. I've seen other presidents effectively held hostage to their negotiators. I don't think Trump suffers from that. Trump decides this is what we need. Go ahead. You're going to yak on, so go ahead.
What are Kushner's and Witkoff's qualifications? Because, they're handling our negotiations with Russia and Ukraine as well.
Yes,
what's their backgrounds?
Well, you know what, RJ, I'm not going to sit here. We've talked about Kushner, we've talked about Witkoff. They both have their flaws. I'm asking you, what do you and I disagree? Do you want us to let Iran go ahead and get nuclear weapons?
Of course not. No.
Okay, then, hold on. Then how do we stop them from doing that?
We have the world's most retarded and corrupt administration trying to handle this for us. And Trump has no clue what he's doing.
And I'll tell you what, RJ, I've been hearing for 10 years that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. I've also seen him produce some amazing results, not just out of other countries. Hold on, not just out of other countries, but I've seen Trump produce some amazing results in America. So everybody who tells me Trump doesn't know what he's doing, and then he goes out and he pulls off deals that appear to benefit Americans in ways that I've never seen an American president do. Should I believe the people who say he doesn't know what he's doing, or should I believe he's actually producing results?
You're just another sucker who has fallen.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you a question which apparently you don't believe. You want to ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. But I'm going to ask you, what do you want him to do to get Iran not to pursue nuclear weapons? Now, Obama said he had this. Hold on. Please hold on for a second. You had Barack Hussein Obama, who campaigned, said, I'm a Muslim. He didn't say I'm a Muslim, but he's clearly a Muslim. And he said, I can go talk to these Iranians because I have this background that I grew up in a Muslim, in a Muslim family. And Obama said, we can get a deal. You know what, RJ? I may just write you off at this point because I'm trying to have a conversation with you, and I've asked you several questions. You won't answer the questions. But when Obama told us we can have a deal with Iran, do you know what the deal was he got? The JCPOA said Iran will get a nuclear weapon. They'll just get it after Obama's already left office about 10 years down the road. Now, does that solve the problem? Did the JCPOA solve the problem?
No, it did not.
Okay,
but
now, when Trump came in, he said, I'm junking the JCPOA. We're going to do this differently, and he did. He managed to pull off 3 major treaties, the Abraham Accords. There were 4 more that could have been done, and Joe Biden's administration said, we're not doing any of that. We're going to go back to chasing the mullahs. And they proceeded to give billions of dollars to the mad mullahs of Tehran, which they then used to fund terrorism. They used it to continue their nuclear ambitions. And at the end of 4 years from that, 4 years of that, we were no further ahead than we had been because Joe Biden wanted, in the worst way, he wanted to get back to a JCPOA that put Iran on a path to get a nuclear weapon. So those are the guys that you would tell me, well, Joe Biden has 30 years of foreign policy experience, and Barack Obama, he practically walks on water. He's so good. You're going to tell me those guys were the guys that are smart, and Donald Trump's the dummy, right?
They may not have handled it ideally, but at least they could find Iran on a map.
Okay, but hold on. They couldn't. They weren't. They didn't handle it ideally. They gave the Iranians on paper, you can have a weapon. Just get your bombs after Obama's left office and made his hundreds of millions. Right?
I'm sorry. No, I don't agree. That narrative coming from a guy that says, "Well, we know Obama's a Muslim." It's hard.
Well, let me ask you this: when he grew up in a Muslim family, the adopted son of Barry Soetoro, he was Barry Soetoro for a while because his mom married a guy, and he spent 5 years in a Muslim school. What should I conclude, especially when he's so darn friendly with the Muslim world and so dismissive of America? RJ, good try. Thanks for the call. I used to think that a mattress was just a kind of furniture until I got my ghost